Day 355 of the Ukrainian War Map, also known as the Russo-Ukrainian War. Juzzy here, and today is another update as I take a simplified and down-to-earth approach to some of the most important happenings on the ground in Ukraine, and we'll start off with moving across to the Russian military losses, which currently sits on 138,340 Russian military personnel losses, which represents an addition of 560 in the past 24 hours. But also, let's extend that a little bit further. So if we take a look at the average daily Russian losses per month, you can see a clear uptrend that's occurring as Russian soldiers continue to get thrown into battle, largely untrained, unequipped. Then a quick look at the hardware losses for the Russian side. So 3 tanks, 4 APVs, and 3 artillery. Then we'll move back to the map today, where we'll move across to the Donbass and we'll have a look up the very top. So fighting intensifies just north of Kupiansk, so zoom right in there, as indicated by the red arrow. So this is the Russian forces attempting to push in that direction, where Russia is performing additional artillery volleys in the direction of the town of Kupiansk itself. Bear in mind, this is Kharkiv Oblast territory, the very place Russia left back in September as a goodwill gesture, but also as they described it to be a regrouping effort to instead liberate the Donbass. And these were the official Russian lines. Never mind the fact that Russia actually made a tactical error, because as soon as Ukraine blasted through Russia's first line of defense in this region last year, it turned out Russia didn't actually have a second or third line of defense in Kharkiv. Not really. And so Ukraine took it back. But in the end, it's just another example of how Russia says one thing but does another. Then, a little bit further down, Russia has made some small gains as part of its renewed 2023 offensive. Well, so far, small gains. The only thing that's changed on this map in this location in the past week is this little push right here that looks like a little pinky toe as they move towards Yampalivka, but massive natural obstacles or bodies of water there that they just cannot penetrate. Then we'll move further down to the Bakhmut region. So this is where, in the previous day, so just beyond the 24-hour mark, Ukrainian armed forces calculated a Russian loss of 212 Russian soldiers, KIA, and 315 wounded in action. So if we zoom out, it's just this tiny one spot on the map, which means that's north of 500 Russian soldiers out of action, collectively speaking, which is both remarkable and highly attritional for the Russian forces. And at the moment, Russia continues with regular attempts to encircle the city, as you can see here, but the city still remains under Ukrainian control. And there's many factors at play causing Russia's inability to take this town, something that many people expected. And one of the biggest factors that was expected to help Russia take this region was their single-use cannon fodder prisoners that Russia has since burnt through, and seems to have given up this strategy now because they burned through 50,000 of them at a tremendous rate. It was just another thing that was unsustainable for Russia to continue to do. Then moving a little bit further south, so Vuhledar. Okay, so just quickly, this is an older picture from, I believe it's the 10th, about 3 days ago, of a photo of Russian armored vehicles, tanks and infantry fighting vehicles rolling over mines, as not even the most basic rules of warfare were known to the most recent Russian waves in the region. It could be described like they, one by one, they drove into the minefields and trashed their armored vehicles. Absolutely astonishing incompetence. But now more recently, as of today, we're talking about day 355 here, new video brings to light Russian forces switching tactics in Vuhledar back to the classic good old human wave approach. because it worked so well for them previously. No armored vehicles are covering this attack. And Russia lost 31 pieces of heavy armor in the previous days. So they're those tanks and infantry fighting vehicles I've been talking about. So obviously these folks are running low on that equipment right now. And I know I'm sounding quite biased right now, but trolls and the like have to admit it doesn't look great with what Russia's been doing in this area in recent times, even over longer periods, over a month or more. Then somewhere in the east in Donetsk, yet another smoking incident, this time at a Russian ammo depot in the region. Then we'll move down across to Crimea, so the occupied Crimean Peninsula. Now, Russia more and more tries to set up defensive capabilities, such as these trucks with concrete bunkers that were spotted in Sevastopol down the bottom west there, going in a northern direction. Now, these things, also known as pillboxes, were quite common in World War I and World War II, purely as a defensive measure, as they're stuck in a stationary, singular position, obviously. But there is just so many things wrong with these pillboxes, I don't know where to start. Let's see, so first up, these are square. What you prefer is a hexagonal or circular pillboxes, as they offer a wider field of view, but also provide better protection against impact fire as well. Structurally more sound. Next up, look at those uneven seams. These things will not hold up. They are better considered to be concrete coffins. Oh, and speaking of concrete, it looks like the same cheap stuff that was used on the coke cones, the dragon's teeth that Russia would use, are also made out of the same stuff where these pillboxes are concerned. And I can all but guarantee that the military contractor that won the tender to produce these things cut countless corners to make a few extra dollars or rubles on the side. And that's just part and parcel of Russia's systemic corruption that would need to be fixed from the ground up to change. We might even see a few Ukrainian drones performing some trick shots on these things. But they are just ghastly creations. And if we're lucky, maybe one or two will remain standing at the end of this conflict and be used for tourism purposes, shown off in a free and sovereign Ukraine. Then moving across to some news for the day. So according to a poll from the Munich Security Conference, in the event of a hypothetical event of a Russian nuclear strike in Ukraine, Ukrainians voted overwhelmingly at 89% that they would still want to continue the defense of their lands and fighting under any circumstances. There's a lot of different polls over the last 12 months that pretty much show the exact same outcome. And the strength of the Ukrainian people, like this strength of their determination, is important because it shows Putin that Ukrainians cannot be bought or bullied into any less desirable outcomes. That is to say, if Putin ever comes across the news anyway, which I'm sure he won't, as he continues to appear to be in some type of information bubble or information vacuum during this conflict. Only getting the good reports, by and large, from his generals, who in turn get sugar-coated reports from their commanders, who in turn make horrible decisions like sending 31 armored vehicles through a minefield in Vuhledar, only to have them all damaged, destroyed, or abandoned. Then in some other news, although there are concerns about a Russian offensive in February, which they're already trying to implement anyway, interestingly, Ukrainian Foreign Minister Kuluba warned of, quote, great events on the anniversary of Russia's invasion on February the 24th. And he also said, quote, Russia will remember. So looking into these somewhat cryptic messages, what he's referring to here appears to be upcoming NATO announcements regarding specific NATO pledged support for weapons and additional sanctions on Russia as part of a unified NATO response to the 1-year anniversary of Russia's invasion of Ukraine. And in some other possibly related news, Russia has updates on the laying down of asphalt on the new bridge spans on the Crimean Kerch Bridge that was struck in October last year, which I'm sure you all remember. Russia was not happy. And Russia is putting so much effort into repairing the bridge now. For it's been 6 months now of repairing. And we can all be pretty confident that Ukraine will ensure it has the capability to take it out again. In fact, I forget which one, but one of the members of the Ukrainian government last year said that they, in fact, had the capability to make sure that happened again. So, interesting times. Of course, perhaps the same politician last year mentioned that it is actually fair game of a target, an official military objective of the AFU. Because Russia will otherwise use it to support its military objectives in the southern region, Crimea, its offensives there, by sending troops, weapons, and supplies over it. So when the bridge is fully operational again, its days will be numbered. Then in the lighter side of news, if you can even call this news, so you've all seen the Leopard 2 beer balancing test. Now check out the Leopard 1 beer balancing test, for which the whole point of these exercises is to display the capability of how the tank gunner is able to aim straight even when the tank is on the move. Which is just as well, because it looks like Ukraine is going to receive a lot of the Leopard 1 tanks from its international partners. Then just a bit of a quick funny to round it off with today, guys. So in this video, we have the armed forces of Ukraine having some fun judging some Ukrainian artillery fire. Good for them. And you know, I'm yet to see videos of Russian forces having a good time with their morale and their spirits high. Unless you count that one drunk Russian soldier sleeping off a hangover on the stairs that I showed a few months back. So that'll be it for today, guys. Bit of a shorter and less in-depth video, as you can see. Less in-depth than I had hoped for. Maybe no video tomorrow, it does depend, but a video every day after that. So thanks again, guys. Please do all the likes, the comments. It really helps me to spread the message, and I do hope to see all of you guys there in the next one. Cheers.